Content warning. This video discusses sexual assault, child sexual abuse, and incest. If that type of subject matter is more uncomfortable for you than it is for most people, I seriously suggest you skip this video. Why not watch my video about 5 horror movies with cringy music videos? That one's not going to be a trauma trigger for virtually anyone. That one won't hurt anybody. Hello, Scaredy Cats, it's me, Scaredy Matt. So, I just watched Ari Aster's 2011 short film, The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. And you'd never expect this from the director of Hereditary and Midsommar, but get this! It's about a f***ed up family. The story follows... Have you seen it? Have you seen this short film? Because what the story's about... Oh boy, I would really prefer not to describe what it's about. Not because I don't want to spoil it, because nothing I say can make this movie more comfortable to watch, but because the subject matter is genuinely uncomfortable to even discuss. It's a film about a man named Isaiah in a sexually abusive relationship with his own father, Sidney. But in this case, the power dynamics are the reverse of what you'd typically expect. Sidney does not consent to his son's advances, and his son uses everything from manipulation to overt emotional abuse and physical force to keep control over him. Meanwhile, Sidney's wife and Isaiah's mother, Joan, knows that this is happening, but keeps quiet out of shame and fear. She lives in denial of what is happening right under her roof, and through her inaction, allows Sidney to suffer in silence. And yes, trust me, doesn't sound like it from that description, it is a horror movie. At first blush, the movie seems just designed to push boundaries, and there's a little bit of that, for sure. Ari Aster said as much. The film started life as a broad comedy in the vein of John Waters, but to make the film easier to get made at AFI, where he was producing it as his thesis, he added more melodrama to make the film palatable. He claims that the film pretends that this is some sort of real issue, and then presents it as though he's telling a cautionary tale about something he really believes is happening. Which is a weirdly shitty attitude to take about his own movie? Now look, I don't want to say that there's never been sexual abuse of a parent by a child, but I imagine it's not as common as the other way round. It is a difficult problem for me to Google, but I'm assuming that of course it does happen, and I certainly don't want to minimize anyone's experience with that type of thing. But to me, what makes the film so deeply uncomfortable isn't the taboo of the son doing this to his father, but knowing that this is happening in the reverse direction all of the time. Reframing child sexual abuse in a novel way made me think about how it must feel to be in that situation. It turned off the part of my brain that knows how to process information like that, the little box that I know to put horrible things like that in. When I watch a movie or read a book or a news story or whatever about a child being abused, my instinct is to protect the child rather than necessarily to immediately empathize with what they're going through. I want to see the child's situation fixed, but I guess I think less about how it must feel to be in that situation in the first place. How scary, isolating, and shaming it must be. How difficult it can be to come forward and seek help because of the reprisal you might face and the internalized abuse and shame you have to grapple with. And I mean, yeah, I guess I know all of that on a surface level. I've heard people talk about it. But these stories tend to travel down the same groove in the brain, you know? You've already processed so many of them that it becomes harder and harder to have the same emotional reaction. At least, for me anyway. I understand that it's easier to say if you've never experienced sexual abuse, which thankfully I have not. But if you change things up just a little, if you make it something that people haven't seen 1,000 times before, suddenly it's harder to go into that emotional autopilot. Suddenly, you're forced to confront this head on like it's the first time you've ever even heard of sexual abuse. Beyond that, the story is really driven by some amazing performances. Brian Mayo is incredible as Sidney, bringing a very believable vulnerability to his character. He pulls off this great, outwardly paternal but inwardly terrified presence. The strength of his performance cannot be overstated. Brandon Greenwood is also good as Isaiah, bringing a really sinister and subtly manipulative twist to all of his dialogue, except for the dialogue that is like overtly abusive. That's less subtle than that. He's a cold, calculating monster who knows how to keep other people in check by inculcating them in his actions and making them assume the blame. You've met many Isaiahs in your life, whether or not you knew it. Do I recommend that you watch this? Boy, I don't know. It's a good movie. It's well made. It accomplishes the task of making the audience deeply uncomfortable and exploring the ultimate taboo. But I mean, it's not like that concept has mass appeal. Do you want to spend half an hour so uncomfortable that you feel like you're going to explode? Do you want to feel as though if someone in your family walks into the room and sees what you're watching, that they'll never quite look at you the same again? I don't know. I don't know if you should watch it. But hopefully, by this point, you know whether you should watch it. Okay, yep. So, in conclusion, I'm going to go make a donation to the Ontario Coalition of Rape Crisis Centres, which you'll find a link to in the description. That feels appropriate given the subject matter of the video. And now, because I don't want to leave everyone in a bad mood, I hereby pass the mic to my friend and colleague, Mr. Bobby Duke.
Hey, thanks, Maddie. It's me, Bobby Duke, star of the channel, coming to you with a deeply inappropriate ending to this video that does not at all jive with the tone, you know? Anyways, lots of you guys been asking about my dog, after Matt rudely edited my personal voicemail message to him into a video. And I'm happy to say that my dog is doing much better. Thank you so much for your concern. In fact, he's here right now. You want to meet him? Come here, boy. Come on. Come here, boy.
Right on, Robbie.
This is my heckin' doggo, Scooby Duke. That's Scooby Duke. Hey, what do you think of that, huh? Why don't you like and subscribe about it? What do you say, Scoob?
Ro.